Hi friends, today we'll talk about the most significant divisional chart, and that is the D9 chart, the Navamsha. In Vedic astrology, Navamsha is considered to be the most important divisional chart. Okay, what do you mean by the term Navamsha? Navamsha means the 9th division of the sign. Alright, so it is a very important chart. It shows your innate nature, your inherent nature. It is also the chart of your fortune. It is also the chart of your marriage, even life partner. And this chart also is believed to get activated after your marriage or after you attain the age of 30, 35. After that, this chart gets activated, or after your marriage. It is the chart of your fortune, the D9 chart. If a native is unmarried, or if a native decides to remain unmarried, even then Navamsha is the chart of their fortune, destiny, or what results planets are actually going to give you. The planets which are in your D1 chart, actually what results those planets are going to give you, that you will come to know from the D9 chart or the Navamsha. So it's very important. So during the dasha or antardasha of a planet, mahadasha, antardasha, any kind of dasha, if you see that the planet is not giving you good results, but it is quite well placed in the D1 chart, then you should also look at the D9 chart. Maybe that planet is not well placed in your D9 chart, and that is why that planet does not have that power to give you positive results, because it is not well placed in the D9. So in order to find out how each and every planet is going to give you results in this life, you need to consider the D9 or Navamsha chart. Now, the first house of the Navamsha, because Navamsha is definitely your fortune and also marriage. The chart of marriage. So the first house will give you an indication regarding your fortune, yes, and also regarding your marriage, the health of your marriage. And also it will say a lot about, because if Navamsha is the chart of the marriage, then first house is the chart of the health of the marriage. What kind of marriage it's going to be? Will there be delay? What will be there? How this marriage is going to manifest itself? All that also you can come to know from the very first house of the Navamsha. It's very significant. So it is very significant for the marriage. It is also significant even for your fortune, your luck. So now the Lord of the first house in Navamsha, where that Lord is placed, in which house of the D9 it is placed, that is very significant. That will say a lot about what kind of marital relationship or marriage is going to take place, or that will also say a lot about your luck and fortune, and what is the key to the lock of your fortune. You can decode all of that from the Navamsha, and especially from the first house. So which houses they hold the key to the lock of your fortune. You will unlock your destiny, you can unlock your fortune with that key, which you will find in the D9. And today I'll be talking about the first house, which is the most significant house also of the Navamsha chart. So in the first house, we will not talk about the planets today. So which planet is there? Sometimes you may not have any planet. We'll talk about planets later on. Today we are going to talk about the Lord of the first house and how that Lord is placed, in which house it is going. Also, I will talk about the first house Lord and also the dispositor of the first house Lord. both you have to keep in mind. If you only look at the first house lord, where it is placed, you will come to know maybe half of the story. But if you want to know the full story of your fortune or marriage, then you have to also look at the dispositor of the first house lord. So in today's video, I'll be covering the placement of the first house lord of the D9, in which house it is placed, and the dispositor of the first house lord is in which house. Alright, so let me begin the video. The lord of the first house of the D9 and its dispositor through all 12 houses of the Navamsha. That means, say the lord of your first house in the Navamsha, say in your first house you have the sign of Leo, then the lord of the first house of your Navamsha will be Sun. You also have to look at, say Sun is placed in your third house in the Navamsha, in the D9 chart. Now Sun's dispositor, where it is placed, that also you have to find out. Say Sun's dispositor is placed in the first house lord is your first house lord is your Sun, okay, because you have the sign of Leo. Now Sun is in which zodiac sign? If Sun, say, is in Cancer, then you have to find out how Moon is placed in the chart, because Moon will be the dispositor of Sun in the chart then, if Sun is in Cancer. So let's begin the video. The lord of the first house in your D9 chart, in all 12 houses, the first lord of your Navamsha chart in all 12 houses of the D9 chart, and the first lord and also the dispositor of the first lord in all 12 houses. So what results you will get? Okay, so even if the lord of the first house is in a certain house of the Navamsha, or even if the dispositor of the first lord, if that is also in a certain house, then also what results you will get. So we will discuss that. So let us start the video. Now, say the first lord, say in the first house of the Navamsha, you have the sign of Aries. If you have the sign of Aries, then the lord of the first house of your Navamsha chart will be Mars. If the sign of Aries is there, then it will be Mars. So what results you will get? If the first lord is in the first house itself. Okay, now if you have the sign of Taurus in the first house, then the lord of the first house will be Venus. Then where is Venus in the chart? Say Venus is in the first house, then what results you will get? That means if the first lord is in the first house itself, okay, so if the first lord of the Navamsha chart is in the first house itself, then what results you will get? In that case, the dispositor also will be in the first house only, because it is the lord of the first house. Alright, and it is in the first house. So the dispositor, obviously it is its own dispositor. What will happen? Now if it is in the first house, then definitely for you, marriage, settling down with somebody, getting married in life, that is going to be very important for you in this life, and that will be a very important aspect of your fortune also. So if you get married, maybe your fortune will rise, especially if the first lord is in the first house and if that planet is a benefic. By benefics, natural benefics, we mean Jupiter, Venus, Moon, and also Mercury, provided Mercury is the lord of lord of auspicious houses in the D1 also. Then also Mercury. So these are the benefics. So if you have benefics here in the first house, so if the first lord is a benefic, then definitely a marriage is going to be a very significant event of your life, of your future, and it's going to bring good luck, good fortune into your life. Definitely this can happen. Okay, all right, that you have to remember now. And also for you, marriage will be very important. You will want to settle down, you will want to get married. So the first lord of the Navamsha is in the first house itself, and if it is a benefic, then definitely we can say that you can also have a successful marriage also if it is a benefic and it is in the first house itself. So your marriage can be successful also. If that planet is not getting afflicted, then we can say that your marriage can be successful, or we can also say that you will be fortunate in life. If that first lord is in the first house and if it is not under affliction, you can be fortunate in life. Okay, you will focus a lot not just on marriage, you will focus a lot on your own growth also, on your personal growth, because it is all about you. You will think a lot about your personal development, your growth, okay, about your fortune. So you will be obsessed also with yourself, and you will want, you can be ambitious also, you can also be religious, you can also be very dutiful. This is also possible if a benefic planet is there. Okay, if it is a natural benefic. Even if it is a natural malefic, if it is in good dignity, say Saturn is there, but Saturn is in very good dignity, Saturn's dispositor is also well placed. Here it will be if Saturn is the lord of the first house, then definitely Saturn is its own dispositor, but Saturn will also rule another house in that chart. So Saturn can also rule either the, it will rule two houses in the D9 chart. So it can rule the first house and the 12th house, or it can rule the first house and the second house. So if it is first and second, it will be better. Then it means even if it is a planet which is malefic, but if it is in good dignity, if it is ruling houses also in the Navamsha which are auspicious, then also it can be good. If that planet is not further afflicted, then definitely even if it is a malefic, it can give you good results if it is well placed in the first house. Yes, malefic is there, it can cause a little delay and obstacles, but eventually you can also get good results, you can get married, you can settle down. And also if that planet is well placed, even if it is a malefic and if it is not afflicted, then definitely you can also get good results. Now you can have the first lord in the first house. Now Rahu and Ketu, they are generally not the lord of, they cannot be the lord of any house, so they are not given lordship. Okay, but if you have Rahu in the first house, it can show that you can be very desirous, very ambitious about getting married. But if you have Ketu, you may be confused about the whole event of marriage. You may be confused about your marriage. You may not be, you may encounter a lot of obstacles in marriage. When you have Rahu also, you may encounter obstacles, but it will give you a great desire for marriage. Now first lord in the first house. So generally it can be any of the other planets. Okay, so I'm talking of the other planets now. So because Rahu Ketu don't have lordship, so you have to find out which planet is there. So if it is the first lord in the first house, so it is generally a positive indication. Okay, So all these things we can say, and you will also be somebody who will give a lot of importance to your goals, to the fulfillment of your own desires, to your growth. You will also have a great desire to bring about a positive change in your life. Okay, you will have that ambition also, and you will want to bring about a positive change in your life. Okay, you will want that positive change. You can also believe that it is my marriage which will bring about a positive desirable change in my life. You may believe that also. You can, and if the planet is well placed in the first house, then you can also be someone who is dutiful. You can be somebody who is also intelligent, who can have knowledge, even creativity. You can have creativity, so you can have great creative abilities. You can have knowledge, and you can also be someone who believes in their own moral principles. Now let's go to and as far as the partnership is concerned, marriage, you will give a lot of importance to your spouse, to your partner, and to marriage. So for you, marriage will be important. So generally these results you can expect. So now let's move on to what will happen when the Lord of the first house in the D9 chart, if it goes to the second house of the Navamsha. So in the first house you will have some Lord. Say in the first house, if you have the sign of Cancer, then the Lord of the first house is Moon. So what results you will get when that Moon is placed in the second house? That's what I am saying. Okay, so the first Lord in the D9 in the second house, or also if the dispositor of the first Lord, the dispositor of your first Lord, even if it is in the second house, then also what results you can expect, I'll discuss now. So if that is the case, then your marriage can be successful. You can gain from your marriage or partnership. It's possible. Marriage will be an event which can cause expansion, growth in your life. Your finances can improve if this first Lord is in the second house, and if this planet is a benefic, it can increase your finances. There can be growth in your finances, financial gains you can experience. Okay, your relationship with family, not just your own family but also your spouse's family, will improve after marriage if benefic is involved, if a beneficial planet is involved. So all these things. Now if a malefic is involved, if the Lord of the first house is a malefic and it is sitting in the second house, then if the malefic is there, then also what will happen, there can be problems in wealth. It can happen. If there is Mars, for example, there can be ups and downs. Saturn, there is delay in accumulation of wealth, obstacles. You have to work very hard in order to accumulate wealth also after marriage. That is possible. But if benefics are there, and if those benefics are lords of auspicious houses, auspicious means those benefics, whether Jupiter, Venus, Moon, Mercury, those benefics, any of those benefics may be there as the Lord of the first house in the second house, but those benefics should not be the Lord of malefic houses in the D1 or even in the D9. They should not be the Lord of malefic houses. If they are the Lord of malefic houses, then also you will experience obstacles in wealth, because here we are talking about the first Lord of the D9 in the second house of the D9, or the dispositor of the first Lord. You have to see in which zodiac sign the first Lord is placed. So the dispositor of that Lord, that also may be in the second house, then also you will get similar results. The dispositor. So whichever planet is your first Lord, so either that planet will be in the second house, or if its dispositor is also in the second house, then also you can get such results which I am discussing now. So if it is associated with beneficial planet, the marriage will give you a lot of gains. Even if that planet is a malefic, but if it is the lord of auspicious houses in the chart, trinal houses or kendra houses, and that planet is in good dignity in a zodiac sign, the lord of which is also well placed, then also you will get good results. You have to see how that planet is placed in the second house. Okay. Also, it can say certain things about your nature. Okay. You may be somebody who is very hardworking. You may be somebody who's materialistic. You may be someone who's goal oriented. Maybe after your marriage or after you attain a certain level of maturity in age, after your 30s, you may become more goal oriented. You may become more materialistic. You may want to be very methodical in your work. You will become very hardworking, because for you accumulation of resources is very important. You want to have wealth, you want to have resources. These things can happen. Definitely, if the first lord of the D9 is in the second house of the D9, or if the dispositor of the first lord is in the second house, then for you wealth, even family, your resources, they are going to be very important. For you, even your financial growth is going to be very important. You are going to give a lot of importance to your financial growth and stability after marriage. You want financial security. This can happen. All right. Whether you will get financial security or not, that will depend on the placement of the planet, how that planet is placed in the second house of your D9. If it is well placed, you will get. So even if it is a malefic and it is well placed, there may be some delay, obstacle, but finally you will get financial growth. But if that planet is not well placed, then definitely there will be difficulty in gaining money. There will be difficulty in accumulating money. There will be challenges. Okay. Also for you, your speech, your values, even your education, your values, they are going to be very important for you. You will always value these things a lot. So your whatever values you have cultivated in life, whatever positions you already have, and your speech, you will give a lot of importance to these things. And if this planet is a benefic, then you will make good use of your values, your speech, your positions. You will make very good use of them, and you will day by day you will be able to accumulate resources. Further, you will be able to accumulate resources after marriage. But if the planet is getting afflicted and if it is not well placed, then there could be problems even in your marriage because of your speech. There could be difficulty in challenges in accumulating wealth. There could be problems in relationship with in-laws or even with family. So all these things can happen. If the planet in the second house, the first lord of the D9 chart, if it is not well placed in the second house, or if the dispositor of the first lord in the D9, if it is not well placed, then such things can happen. Okay. So yeah, now if well placed, I told you, you may also love food. You will love to lead a comfortable life. You will give a lot of importance to your goals in life, and you will give a lot of importance to your comfort also, luxury also. You will want food also. It means you will be a lot, means whatever gives you comfort and luxury. So even food is included in that. Food, resources, everything you need, everything, because you want a comfortable and luxurious life also. You want to lead a life which is pleasurable. This will happen if the planet is well placed in the second house. Now let's move on to what will happen when the first lord of the D9 chart, when the first lord of the D9 chart is in the third house of the D9. The first lord or the dispositor of the first lord. Say if the first lord, say you have any zodiac sign in the first house. Say you have the sign of Gemini in the first house. Then the lord of the first house of your D9 will be Mercury. Okay? If Mercury might be in your third house. Okay? Or say Mercury is placed in a different house. Okay? But you have to find out where Mercury's dispositor is going. Say Mercury is in the sign of, say, Sagittarius. Then Mercury's dispositor will be Jupiter. Jupiter also might be in the third house. So then what results you will get? I hope you have understood. So if the first lord of your D9 is in the third house, or if the dispositor of the first lord, if that is in the third house, then what results you are going to get? Now for you, communication will be very important in the relationship or marriage or partnership. You will give a lot of importance to communication. Communication gap should not be there. You can also believe in having a friendly relationship with your partner. You may want to be fun loving, okay, frank, like a friend. You may want to behave with your partner in a friendly way. You may expect the same from your partner, that your partner also will be just like a friend, who will be frank, fun loving, who will like mirth and laughter and merriment, who will be cheerful. So you will be able to connect with such a partner better. You are basically not looking for somebody who is very serious. You are not looking for such a person. Alright? So this can happen when the first lord, because the first house of the D9 is the house which talks about the health of the marriage. So how that marriage you can nourish, how that marriage can grow, and how it can flourish into a successful relationship. So it is when both of you become friends. That's what you will think, that my partner should be my best friend, whom I can say everything, whatever I want to, without any hesitation. We can be like friends. We can have a lot of fun. So that's what you are looking for in your partner. Somebody who would communicate everything, somebody who would be very transparent also in their communication, and there would be great chemistry because of the communication or because of the friendship that we have. You may believe that when the first lord of your D9, when it is in the third house of the D9, or if the dispositor of the first lord is in the third house, then you may have such thoughts. Third house is also considered generally to be a house which is mildly malefic, in the sense that third house can also show certain obstacles. So definitely there could also be certain obstacles in establishing a successful relationship, particularly if the first lord, that planet in the third house, is a malefic which is not well placed, or if it is a planet which is not well placed or afflicted, then yes, there will be challenges in establishing a friendly relationship, or there will be challenges in communication, healthy communication with your partner. This can happen. So that will affect the health of the marriage, and then differences will start growing, which can lead to conflicts, problems in the relationship, because third house is also the house of efforts. So if the planet which is in the third house, it is the lord of the first house of the D9, it is in the third house, or the dispositor of the lord of the first house is in the third house. So if that planet is not well placed, then you have to put in or make a lot of efforts in order to make your relationship work. You will have to really put in a lot of efforts, and even then you will not see much success, and you might be disheartened to see that I'm making so much of efforts but my person is not being able to connect with me, and that can also make you very sad, even depressed. This can happen. This can lead to frustration also in the relationship. Now again, if the planet is well placed in the third house, then you can have great friendship with your partner. Great friendship, great chemistry, great understanding. Both of you can have a very fun relationship. You can have a great bond of friendship, and the relationship will be based on friendship, and you both of you will do a lot of fun things together, and that will make your relationship so beautiful. It all depends on how that first lord is placed in the third house, or the dispositor of the first lord, if it is in the third house, how that planet is placed. If well placed, you will get wonderful results, and you will feel that my partner is my best friend. Now, as far as your destiny is concerned, okay, your destiny, your fortune is concerned, third house will play a vital role in your life. If the first lord of the D9 is in your third house, communication will play a vital role in your life. So you can be a teacher, you can be a social media, okay, content creator, influencer. So you can be into teaching, you can be into counseling. Communication will play a very important role. You could be any sort of communicator, journalist, even writer, painter, because communication, either through speech, through words, or by using your hands and showing your creativity through painting, writing. So communication will play a very important role in your life and in shaping your fortune. So that will happen. So you need to develop communication skills. Not just communication skills, your artistic skills, your creative talents, all that also, any of that can be very important. You may have a certain artistic skill, you may have a certain artistic ability or creative talent. Now that also can play a pivotal role in shaping your fortune in this life. This can happen. So if you have certain skills or any particular skill, try to develop that skill. You should do that, because third house is anyway an upachaya house. So you go on making efforts, along with time you will get wonderful results. So go on developing that skill. So that will definitely go a long way in helping you decode your own destiny, or in decoding the key, or decoding your own fortune, and that skill will help you find or will help you unlock, okay, it will help you unlock your fortune, and you'll find the key to the lock of your fortune. So develop that skill. It could be any communication skill or creative skill, anything. Third house. Your siblings can also play a very important role in your life. It is possible. Okay, your siblings can play a very important role in your life. That's true. So all these things we can say, friends. When the first lord of the D9 is in the third house, or the dispositor of the first lord is in the third house, you can give a lot of importance to short distance travels also. Short distance travels. So you will be interested in traveling. Okay, so you should also, whenever you undertake a short distance travel with your partner, your relationship can improve. That can also happen. Alright, because the health of your marriage will depend a lot on the third house. Third house is the house of short distance travels. So undertake certain short distance travels with your partner. So that will keep the spark alive, and that will improve your relationship. So now let's move on to the next placement. If the lord of the first house in your D9 if it is in the 4th house, or if the dispositor of the Lord of the 1st house in D9 is in the 4th house of the D9, then what will happen? If it is in the 4th house, then there is an indication. Again, if the planet is well placed in the 4th house, then what will happen? You can accumulate or gain assets after marriage. After your marriage, you can gain property. If that planet is really well placed and is a benefic which is well placed, then you can gain a lot of property after marriage. You may have a number of, maybe you can have your own flats, bungalows, a lot of real estate property, all that you can have after marriage. It's possible. If it is more or less well placed also, some asset you can gain after marriage, some property, that can happen. Okay, but again, if that planet is not well placed in the 4th house, then difficulty in gaining your property after marriage. Whenever you go to buy some property after marriage, you may encounter obstacles, certain challenges, and there could be difficulty in buying that property or selling off any property, anything it could be. In property matters, you may face obstacles. If the first lord or the dispositor of the first lord is not well placed in the 4th house of the D9, then such things can happen. Okay, now if again it is well placed, what will happen? Then also, if it is well placed after your marriage, if that planet is well placed in the 4th house, after your marriage, your relationship with your mother can also improve. After your marriage, even your mother can be well off, and the relationship that you have with your mother, that can also improve. If not well placed in the 4th house, then it can cause problems, health issues to the mother also. That can also happen. So it is in the 4th house. 4th house is a Kendra house, which is in the cosmic man's chart, it is ruled by moon. So moon definitely has a very important role in 4th house. Whichever planet may be the Lord or in the D9, but we cannot forget that 4th house, in whichever divisional chart you are looking at, 4th house is a house which is also the house of it will exhibit the qualities of, it will somehow be connected to the significations which are connected to moon. Okay, so definitely one more thing it can happen, that your relationship may be a little fluctuating. Okay, at times you will be able to connect with your partner very well after marriage. At times you will not be able to connect with them. So the relationship can undergo a lot of fluctuations. Okay, or mood swings can be there. Either you may suffer from mood swings, or your partner may have mood swings. So it could be difficult for you to always connect with your partner. So your relationship will undergo fluctuations. This can happen. This will happen even more if the first lord of the D9 or its dispositor is not well placed in the 4th house. Then a lot of fluctuations, a lot of mental stress, tension, lack of peace within the house after marriage. This can happen. If the first lord of the D9 or its dispositor is not well placed in the 4th house, then it can happen. But if it is well placed in good dignity in the 4th house, then you can have great emotional connection, emotional bond with your partner. Okay, your relationship will be based on heartfelt emotions. You will have true emotions for your partner. Your partner also will be very emotional for you. A very healthy emotional bond you will share. That is possible. Okay, if the planet is well placed in the 4th house. Now yeah, again, if I talk about your future, your destiny, then definitely the key to your future, or the key to your fortune, is somehow in the 4th house of your D9. Okay, so that means you could do very well in some creative field. Maybe you have not realized that earlier, you did not realize, but after your marriage you come to realize that yes, you have some creative skill, or later on in life with maturity you realize that yeah, I have some creative skill, or I am very creative. It could be any kind of creativity that you may have, and you need to develop that creativity or creative skill. So that is important. Again, you could also be somebody who's very intuition. You could have very high intuition, so you could do very well in any field which is connected to intuition, which is connected to the moon. Like you could be a healer, you could be a psychologist. Okay, so you could do very well in these fields: healing, even psychology, even occult also. It's possible. So you just have to realize that yes, I have some creativity, I have some intuition, and I really need to develop that intuitive or creative power. Okay, so that is important. So also maybe you need to travel, maybe traveling to a different place after marriage. You can travel to a different place after your marriage, or traveling later on for your profession. Maybe that can also enable you, moving to a different place, that can enable you to see growth in your life, and maybe that is that travel which you are going to undertake, maybe because of your marriage or because of your profession after marriage, maybe that is again going to change the course of your life, and that can shape your fortune. That is also possible. Okay, so yes, all these things we can say. If you have the first lord or the dispositor of the first lord in the D9 in your 4th house of the D9. All right, yeah. Now what will happen when the first lord of the D9 or the dispositor of the first lord in the D9, if they are placed, if any of them is placed in the 5th house, what will happen? Okay, 5th house. Then definitely if that planet is in good dignity in the 5th house, it can show that your marriage can be a happy marriage. You can be happy in your marriage. It's possible with your partner. Okay, it can also show that you really love your partner, and there is a sort of spiritual love between the two of you. It can show that. Now if that planet, the first lord or dispositor of the first lord of the D9, if it is in the 5th house, it can also show that for you marriage will be important. You will give a lot of importance to marriage, and you can also be dutiful, loyal and faithful to your partner. It can also show that even your partner can be someone who holds on to their moral principles. That also it can show. You can get fortunate after marriage. That also it can show. All right. Now also your marriage will be such a relationship with your partner, a relationship which again, if that planet in the 5th house is in good dignity, then it can be a very you can have a very playful relationship. Means both of you in the relationship, you can be playful with each other, you can be fun loving again, Okay, and so that is possible, and somehow there will be spiritual love between the two of you, and both of you also can be very friendly to each other. It can also show that. Okay, now, and the relationship can be really a strong spiritual bond if the planet in the 5th house is not afflicted. It can be a very healthy spiritual connection between the two partners after marriage. Now, as far as your and even both of you can be generous, forgiving also in the relationship. It's possible. At times there will be certain ego clashes that can also be there. At times ego clashes may be there, but if the planet is in good dignity, then finally you will also be generous and broad-minded enough to kind of make peace with each other, and you will finally end up accepting each other if the planet is well placed in the 5th house. But yes, at times there can be some ego clashes. Now also if but again, if it is not in good dignity in the 5th house, then after marriage you will see that there is a lot of ego problems in the relationship. Your principles and your person's principles are way different. You are going towards east, they are going towards west. So your moral principles, they don't match at all. So you are a very different person from your partner. So then there will be a lot of problems in the relationship if the Lord of the 1st house in D9 or its dispositor, if it is in the 5th house and not well placed, then a lot of differences in opinion and conflicts and clashes can happen. Clash of principles, basically, and ego clashes. Now also what else we can say, that because the Lord of the 1st house of your D9 or its dispositor, if it is in the 5th house, so that means the 5th house of your D9 is going to be very important for your life now. So if the planet is in more or less good dignity, then you will be fortunate in this life. In the 5th house, you will be fortunate in this life, you will be lucky. You can also gain name and fame and position in this life. Okay, it's possible. You can have great creativity, you can have great knowledge, and because of your knowledge and creativity and your any creative skill you may have, any artistic ability you may have, you can be very knowledgeable. You can have healing powers, you can be great, you can have great intuitive abilities. So because of that, you will be able to bring about a positive change in your life. You can be a great healer with this position. You can be a great healer, you can be a great occultist, you can be a great counselor, you can be a great psychologist. So all these things are possible. You can have your own independent business also. It's possible. So and you can eventually have fame, name, good name. You can get recognition, social recognition also, if the Lord of the 1st house in D9 or its dispositor, if it is well placed in the 5th house, you will get wonderful results also. If you move towards knowledge, you have to gain knowledge in life. So that is the way to unlock your fortune. You must run after gaining knowledge, okay, or developing your skills, any sort of skill or artistic skill which you have, or creative skill. So that is how you can establish yourself in this world, and you can establish your identity and have name, fame and recognition as well. You can also eventually move towards spiritual practices, occult practices also. So all these possibilities can be there, and you can be a great healer. You can also be a great motivational speaker. You can be a leader. So you can be a great motivational speaker also. And you can also do even in business, in any profession. Even if you're in job, you can really, with the help of your knowledge and skills, you can do well in any profession, whether it is job or business. But yes, business is something, if you really can think of some business wherein you can showcase your creativity or highlight your knowledge, then you can really excel in your profession. Now let's move on to what will happen if the first lord of the D9 or its dispositor, if it is in the 6th house, what will happen? The first indication is that the relationship with your partner or your spouse, it may undergo certain upheavals and problems. There could be conflicts with your partner. This can happen. If you have met your partner at your workplace, or somehow if your partner is somehow connected to your workplace, then the situation will be somewhat manageable. Otherwise, there can be conflicts in the relationship. So yes, conflicts. Basically, you will have difference of opinion with your spouse. This is what I have seen, and which can lead to quarrels and conflicts also. Generally, this can happen. If the planet which is in the 6th house now, if that planet is a benefic and well placed, then the situation can be manageable. But if it is a malefic, not well placed, or if it is any planet which is getting afflicted in the 6th house, then those conflicts can become bigger and bigger, and they can also be a threat to the health of your relationship with your partner. It can pose a threat to the well-being of the marriage. It can pose a threat to the marriage itself, if there is too much of conflict, then it can also lead to some sort of there is so much of conflict that even if two people are staying under the same roof, they are somewhat detached from each other. They may live under the same roof, but there will be detachment. This is possible. Or if there are other conditions also which are not suitable, then during the certain dasha, somehow there are other houses also, other malefic houses are also somehow connected to important planets which are connected to your marriage, then it can lead to separation also, but that will depend on the individual chart. If the 7th lord, if Dharakarak, if your Venus, everything is getting afflicted, then definitely during the dasha it can lead to separation even. But it is not always separation. I have seen, even if the lord of the 1st house or its dispositor, if it is in the 6th house, it may not lead to separation. If other planets which are connected to marriage, if they are more or less well placed, or more or less in average dignity also, then it may not lead to separation. But yes, the two people, they can stay under the same roof, but they can have a lot of problems with each other, lot of quarrels, differences of opinion. It is possible. So all these things we can say. Okay, so then what else? So the lord of the 1st house is of your D9 or its dispositor is in the 6th house. Okay, so it can also say that your marriage can somehow survive if you are someone who's very routine bound, if you are somebody who's very disciplined, very routine bound, if after marriage life changes, okay, and if you do certain things in a routine way for your partner, then that can be a positive gesture which can save the marriage. That also we can say. That in a routine way, maybe you do certain things on an everyday basis, you're doing certain things. Maybe you are in the habit of making the morning tea or coffee, you do that. And or maybe you make something light for breakfast and you give it to your partner, and it is a habit, but you maintain that. If you're doing that, it can be good for the relationship. That can make your spouse happy. Okay, or say you go to work and on the way home, you're in the habit of bringing something for your spouse. It could be a rose, a flower, it could be anything, maybe a chocolate, but something you will bring for your spouse. So it is a routine thing. If you're doing that, no, then also it can improve your relationship or marriage. In fact, it can work as a remedy also. Or you plan certain vacations or trips with your spouse in a very routine way, that after every 3 months we will go out, we will go on a trip, we'll go to a resort. And if that is a routine thing which you maintain, it can be good for your marriage. So find out, figure out what things you can do repetitively, so those things can save your marriage. Okay, it's possible. Now also what I can say is that for you now, even for your destiny or fortune, 6th house of your D9 is now going to be very important. So somehow you may eventually move towards social service, okay, or for you your job will be your identity. That is also something which I can say, that your job, your profession, okay, so that is going to be your identity. Your job somehow has the key to the lock of your fortune. So that key is in the hands of your job. So you have to do your job with a lot of dedication and commitment. Yes, anything you're doing in a routine way, your job also, you have to be very methodical, very meticulous about your duties towards your company or towards your office. So be very goal oriented, very detail oriented, be very analytical, be very methodical in your approach to work, be very dutiful, very time bound, be very structured and disciplined. Then you will do very well in life. The more you become structured, disciplined, methodical, goal oriented in life, the more you will prosper in your profession, and you will be able to accumulate a lot of resources and wealth also in this lifetime. If the first lord of your D9 chart or its dispositor, if any of these planets, if it is in the 6th house, then you have to remember this, that you have to be totally dedicated to your job. Whatever be your profession, you must do things pertaining to your profession on a daily basis, in a routine way, in a repetitive way, in a routine way. You have to work hard towards your professional goals. Then only you can be successful in your profession, and then only you will be able to accumulate wealth and resources in this life. This placement of that planet in the 6th house can also make you very goal oriented, disciplined. It can also make you very materialistic. It's possible. So you will really want that if again the lord of the first house of the D9 or its dispositor is well placed in the 6th house, Then you will want that I have to do my job. I don't want any inhibitions. I don't want any interruptions. I have to kind of, do justice to my job commitments. Similarly, do justice to all those commitments which you have given to your partner also. If you do justice to the commitments which you have made to your partner will be very happy, and your relationship with your partner can also improve. Just as you are dedicated towards your job, in the same way be committed and dedicated to your partner. And then you will be able to maintain that professional life and personal life balance. And eventually you can be successful not just in your profession but also in your relationship. So that's what I wanted to tell you about the Lord of the first house of D9 or its dispositor. If any of these planets is in the 6th house, then what kind of results you are going to get. Alright. Okay, now let's go to what will happen when the Lord of the first house in the D1, in the D9 chart, or the dispositor of the Lord of the first house in the D9 chart, when that planet will go to the 7th house of the D9, then what results you can expect. Alright, 7th house is the house of give and take, balance and harmony, definitely. So then that means you are a person who is looking for a harmonious, balanced relationship with your partner. You will believe in give and take in your marital relationship or partnership. Give and take is important. You will believe in justice. That if I am making efforts to connect with my partner should also make efforts to connect with me. So you will believe in fair give and take. Alright, so this can happen. Okay. Now, also you have to see, that first Lord, the Lord of the first house of your D9 is now in your 7th house. Now that planet, either the Lord of the first house or its dispositor, any of the planets may be in the 7th house. Alright, is in the 7th house. So that planet, whether it is well placed or not, if it is well placed, that is, if aspected by benefics, or if it itself is a beneficial planet, well placed or aspected by benefics, then definitely, if that planet's dispositor is also well placed and it's in the 7th house, then it can show that you will have a great partnership with your life partner or spouse. It can signal that both of you can really make a good team, and you can complement each other, and there'll be very good understanding. Yes. So if it is well placed, there'll be a lot of attraction also for your partner. Even physical attraction for your partner will be there, which will kind of keep the spark alive in the relationship. So all these things can happen if the planet in the 7th house is well placed. Alright. Okay. But if the planet, which is the Lord of the first house or its dispositor in D9, if that is not well placed in the 7th house, then definitely there can be quarrels. Also, if that planet is a malefic like Mars, then there can be arguments, conflicts with the person. Your relationship will undergo a lot of ups and downs with your spouse. Even if moon is there, lots of mood swings, fluctuation of emotions. Sometimes you'll be able to connect with your person, sometimes you'll not be able to connect with your person. Even if moon is there, then also it can happen. If Mercury is there, but if Mercury is in good dignity, then there can be great communication, friendship, and both of you will have a partnership which is based on fun. You'll have fun together, and both of you will be jovial, and you'll love to spend time together in a fun way. But again, if Mercury is not well placed or getting afflicted, then again it can also show there will be problems in communication, even quarrels. So you have to find out how the planet is placed in the 7th house of your Navamsha. If Sun is there, then there could be ego issues in the relationship. Ego problems could be there. All right. But then again, Jupiter is it can bless your relationship, because Jupiter is a natural beneficial planet, so it can bless your conjugal life. But yes, if Jupiter is there, it can also it can also heighten your desire for relationship, even your sexual appetite. It can heighten that. Jupiter or Rahu, such planets can heighten your sexual desire. This can happen. But if Jupiter is well placed, it can be good also, definitely. All right. So you have to see which planet is now the Lord of the first house, or the dispositor of the Lord of the first house in D9, and that planet, how it is placed in the 7th house. If it's Venus in good dignity, then it can be a very balanced, beautiful, harmonious, loving relationship where both of you give each other space to grow, and it can be a very beautiful and happy relationship also if Venus is in good dignity. You can really love your partner. It's possible your partner also can be very loving. Again, if there is Ketu now, then there will be again a lot of problems. If there is Ketu, then if it's in very good dignity, Ketu is in say Pisces and all, and Jupiter is also well placed in the D9 also, then it can be a spiritual connection. It can be a spiritual connection, and that spiritual connection with your spouse will develop or will happen over time. Over time, you will feel that you are spiritually connected to your spouse. All right. But generally Ketu, even if it is in Pisces, I have seen that if people get married at an immature age, I mean at an age in which a sort of age, what should I say, when they're not that mature, say if they're below 35, I've seen. And even if Ketu is in Pisces, I've seen in numerous charts, there could be problems in bed pleasures, because Pisces sign is connected to bed pleasures also. So some distance can come in between the two people. Some distance will set in, or there will be some distance between them because of some problems connected to their sexual life or their intimate life. That can also happen. So if they are say below 30, and if they are not that mature enough to know that marriage is basically a spiritual bond also. It is not just about physical gratification or sexual satisfaction. Marriage is far deeper than that. But that level of maturity is also important. So if they have not attained that age in which they're able to understand or the depth of this matter, or the truth of everything, ultimately what marriage is, if that is not clear, or then they can be confused. They can be gripped by illusion, confusion. They may want to escape from their partner. Their partner also may go into an escapist mode. Their partner also may tend to escape. They also may want to distance themselves from the partner. All these things can happen, and it can also lead to a separation if the dasha of that planet which is in the 7th house, say Ketu, the dasha or antardasha is going on, then it can even lead to separation also. That also can happen. All right. But again, sometimes I've seen that if Ketu is in very good dignity, then also, and especially if the couple, they're blessed with a child, then maybe, and if they have that maturity to handle everything, no, then they may also have a sort of spiritual connection with each other. That can also happen. But yes, but generally Ketu, if that is the planet which is, but Ketu and Rahu, they are not the lord of any houses. They cannot be the lord of the first house of the D9. They can't be the lord, but I'm just mentioning, if Ketu is there, even if Ketu is sitting with the lord of the first house in the 7th house, then also it can create problems. It can create conflicts, problems, and some detachment can come. Some detachment from the partner can be there. So yeah, so all these things we can say, if the lord of the first house is sitting in the 7th house. Also, as far as your destiny or fortune is concerned, if the lord of the first house of your D9 or its dispositor, if it is in the 7th house, then maybe you should do some independent business at some point of time in life. Even if you're in job, consider doing some independent business, so that could maybe enable you to establish your identity in a better way. Alright, do something independently, so that could be good. Okay, that could make you eventually more successful in your career. That's possible. Also, you can think of being a freelancer, having your own franchisee, any sort of business you can think of, which is like wherein you have, wherein you can be independent. All right, so independence, so that you can express, so that you can highlight your knowledge, your skills in a better way. You can make decisions independently. You can also consider partnership business, but then if you can trust the partner. All right, and if the planet in the 7th house is well placed in the chart, then you can go for partnership business also. Also, you should consider traveling to a foreign land. If you get the opportunity to travel to a foreign land, you should grab that opportunity. Maybe if you go to a foreign land, you can prosper there, and you can become more fortunate in a foreign land. That is also possible. If the lord of the first house of the D9 or its dispositor is in the 7th house of the D9. Okay? Yes, so all these things we can say. Now let's move on to the 8th house. What will happen when the lord of the first house in the D9 or its dispositor, if it is there in the 8th house of the D9? 8th house is, again, it has some malefic energy. It has. We cannot deny that. Now this first lord, so lord of the first house denotes the health of the marriage or partnership, and that lord has gone to the 8th house. Then what is going to happen? Or maybe the lord of the first house, either that lord has gone to the 8th house, or the dispositor of that lord has gone to the 8th house. Then it is an indication that during the dasha of that particular planet, dasha, antardasha of that planet, there could be a lot of ups and downs, upheavals in your marital life, marriage, or partnership. Those upheavals, changes, ups and downs can transform your entire relationship. It's possible it can transform your entire life. That is also possible. Now, if that planet is in the 8th house, the first lord of D9 or its dispositor is in the 8th house, and the dispositor of that planet also. It's in the 8th house, and if it is not in good dignity, how its dispositor is placed, by which planets it is being aspected, all that also you have to find out. So if there is further affliction and that planet is becoming very weak and afflicted in the 8th house, then definitely it can lead to separation with partner. That's possible. It can lead to separation with partner, definitely, and especially if it is the dasha of that planet which is in the 8th house, dasha or antardasha, it can lead to separation. Okay, or if say the dasha or antardasha is not there, and then what can happen? Somehow the relationship may survive, but at times there may be distance between the two people. Maybe you have to travel to some other place because of work, or your partner may have to go to some other place because of work, so you don't get to meet each other often. If that is happening, it is a blessing, I'm telling you. If you are in a sort of long distance thing or relationship, and your first lord of D9 or its dispositor is in the 8th house, and if you're in a long distance relationship, it's best. It is best. Or it can show you both are living under the same roof, but there is no you are living under the same roof, but you are kind of distanced from each other, means you are not intimate with each other. That also it can show. So maybe you're living under the same roof, but you are not intimate. You may be wondering why, because 8th house is the house of intimacy. So two extremes are possible. Either your partner may work in a different place and they are far away from you because they have some work commitments. They have to, maybe they're working in the oil rigs and they have to go to a different place altogether. They work there for a number of months and after that they come back to you. That is a possibility. Means, or they could be in the defense services. They come back to you after 6 months, maybe. So, but they are very eager to get intimate with you. They are very eager to be intimate with you, but they are away from you because of work. But they're actually very eager to be intimate, and when they meet you, they get intimate with you. When they're able to meet you, they establish physical intimacy with you. This is one thing which can happen. The other thing which can happen is that both of you are living under the same roof, but there is no relation as such. Because you see, the entire health of the marriage is now in the 8th house, and 8th house is a challenging house. So either the person really wants to be very intimate but they are away due to some reason, or maybe they are with you together in the same house but they are distanced from you. This can happen. Or if the 8th lord, you have to look at the 8th lord. How the 8th lord, I'm talking of the 8th lord of the D9 chart. How the 8th lord is placed in the D9 chart. If the 8th lord is well placed, say it is placed in the Kendra houses, or it is placed in the Dharma trine 159 or Kendra houses, then maybe it can happen, it can so happen that your person will be very intimate with you. That also can happen. So that means your relationship with your person will survive if there is real physical intimacy, because 8th house is also the house of sexuality and sexual intimacy. But there will be real meaningful sexual intimacy will be there, which will give satisfaction and joy to both the parties. This will happen when the lord of the 8th house is well placed in an auspicious or in a powerful Kendra house, and if it is well placed in that house, then maybe you can have real intimate relationship, and then there won't be any issues. But if the 8th lord of the Navamsha or D9 in the Navamsha itself, in the D9 itself, if it is not well placed, then you will not have that sort of intimacy. Something will be missing or even totally absent. And so the relationship, either it will be a relationship which is a totally long distance relationship. It's, either it could be that, or it could be a relationship which may not even survive if the 8th lord is also not well placed in the Navamsha. Then the relationship may not even survive. So the first lord of the D9 chart or its dispositor in the 8th house, that is also not a good signal. That is also not a good indication for the health of the marriage. Okay, so only if the 8th lord is well placed in the D9, and also the 8th lord of the Navamsha, it should be well placed in your D1. In your D1, in your D9, if it is well placed, and also the 8th lord of the D1 should be well placed also in the D1. Then maybe your relationship, the intimate relationship that you'll have with your partner, will really be something which can save the relationship. There'll be real meaningful intimacy with your partner, and it can make your relationship even stronger. The more you get intimate, the more you experience a positive transformation in your lives. So that is possible. So this will happen only if the 8th lord in the D9 is well placed, and even you should look at the 8th lord in the D1, how it is placed. So all these things. What else we can say? That the first lord of your D1, the first lord of your D9 or its dispositor is in the 8th house. So the health of your marriage may be influenced a lot by your in-laws also. Your in-laws may have a say in the matter. Okay, so in-laws may influence your marital life, that also. And as far as your destiny or your fortune is concerned, so somehow your destiny or fortune could be connected to matters of the 8th house. So either there could be ups and downs in your life, it's possible. Ups and downs, your life will undergo, anyway it will undergo a lot of changes, upheavals, transformation. At times you yourself may get shocked. Oh my God, my life has been a roller coaster ride. I mean, I have gone through so much of transformation and so many upheavals and changes, ups and downs, and my life is still transforming, getting transformed all the time. This you may feel. Alright? Then what else? Also, your destiny, your fortune, the key to your fortune, the key to the lock of your fortune is somehow there in the 8th house. You have to understand that. So if your profession, or if the way you want to establish your identity in the world is somehow connected to 8th house matters, you will do very well in life. You can be very successful. You can establish your profession and you can establish your identity through your profession. If you're dealing well with 8th house matters, like if you're into the occult, if you're an astrologer or tarot reader, if you're into the occult or numerologist, any occult science, or it could be a Vastu expert. Or if you are into psychology and you're a psychologist, you can do very well. If you're a healer, if you're into technology, if you're into chartered accountancy, you can do well. If you're into surgery or medical science profession, if you're into the legal profession, the profession of the field of law, you can do very well. If you're into any kind of secret services, intelligence department, if you're into underground mining, if you're into insurance, you can do well. All right. So all of these professions are somehow connected. If you're into investment banking or some investment related work you do, so all that will give you good results when you have the first lord of your D9 or its dispositor in the 8th house. So in this life there is some karma attached to the 8th house. You have to understand. 8th house of the D9 also means going deep within yourself. It can also show the joint assets that you will accumulate with your spouse. So maybe if your marriage somehow, if your marriage survives, it can survive definitely. If the marriage survives, then you can have joint assets with your spouse. You can inherit property. That can also happen. You can benefit from other people's money, that is inheritance, even sudden gains from stocks and shares, having becoming rich through joint assets with spouse, through insurance, etc. So you can benefit from the investments which other people make through chartered accountancy and occult and technology, all that I told, law. So that you have to remember. All right. So 8th house is connected to your roots also, because 8th house is definitely, it is connected to Ketu, not just Mars. Mars is the natural lord of the 8th house, but it is also connected to Ketu because we have the sign of Scorpio in the 8th house in the natural zodiac. So if your profession is also somehow connected to your ancestors, then also you will get good results. Okay, and anyway, Mars energy is connected to 8th house, Saturn energy also. So if your profession is connected to research, investigation, even science and technology, any sort of research, you will get good results. All right. So, and you will be able to establish your identity in this, in the world in a very meaningful way also. You need to go to the depth of the things. You need to do some research. You need to get into the occult, or you can be a very good healer also. Now let's move on. And you can also be a person who is highly intuitive, even highly creative. You can be very creative also. Occult practices or spiritual practices like yoga, meditation, you can benefit from them as well, if you have this placement of that planet in the 8th house. Now let's move on to what will happen when the lord of the first house in your D9 or its dispositor is in the 9th house of the D9. What will happen? So it can signal a successful marriage if the planet in the 9th house, if that planet, the lord of the first house in D9 or its dispositor, if that planet is well placed in the 9th house of your D9. If it is well placed, means aspected by benefics, its dispositor is well placed, it is not getting afflicted, then we can say it is well placed. Then your marriage will be blessed. It will be a blessed relationship. It will be blessed by divine energies. So you will feel fortunate, you will be fortunate or get fortunate after marriage. There will be growth and expansion in your life. After marriage, your family can grow. Okay, you can have children, there'll be growth, expansion. You can become fortunate, and not just that, you can accumulate fortune and wealth also, definitely after marriage. In every aspect of life you can see growth, expansion. So that will happen when the planet that planet which is there in the 9th house is in good dignity or well placed, right? So after marriage you can undertake foreign travel, and you can benefit a lot from foreign travels. After marriage you can think of further higher education, you can think of acquiring some higher degree. You may want to acquire higher knowledge in any subject, and that can also benefit you. Yes. So benefit from acquiring higher knowledge, benefits from foreign travel, all that can happen after marriage also, or after you attain a certain age, even if you are unmarried. So maybe after the age of 30, 35 onwards, you will see growth and expansion in your life. That's possible. You can get fortunate also in life. So here, as far as the marital relationship is concerned, the health of the marriage can be very good, and provided that planet in the 9th house is well placed, then you will be even your partner will be very dutiful towards you. You will also be dutiful towards them. Your relationship with your spouse or partner will be based on respect, mutual respect, and also a sense of duty will be there, and both of you can be loyal to each other. So all these things will happen. You will always look out for each other. You will take care of each other. You'll be responsible towards each other. So all these things will happen if that planet, the Lord of the first house of D9 or its dispositor, is well placed in the 9th house. Then you will get all good results. But if it is not well placed, then something very different or even the reverse can happen. Okay? Then there could be conflicts with your partner. Your principles and their principles could be very different. They won't match. Okay? So which can lead to conflicts, problems, ego clashes. All that can happen. Okay? So if that planet is not well placed in the 9th house. Now, what about your life or your destiny or fortune? As far as your destiny or fortune is concerned, somehow your destiny or fortune, the key to the lock of your fortune, is in the 9th house of the Navamsha, in the 9th house. 9th house is the house of knowledge, higher education. So always, try to acquire some higher degree, move towards gaining more and more knowledge, even specialized knowledge, which you can gain from universities or other, institutions where, you can have access to specialized knowledge, higher knowledge on some subject. That will make you more fortunate in life. Religious practices, visiting places of, religious worship. So you can benefit, you can become more fortunate if you are engaged in religious worship, if you're engaged in religious practices, if you're engaged in studying philosophy or religious texts, philosophical texts, and if you're trying to gain higher knowledge, you can prosper. In any field of study, if you go for specialization, you will prosper, you will get good results. In any field, whether it is the field of medical science, whether it is the field of law, engineering, arts, commerce, any field, you go for specialized knowledge, higher knowledge, you will get good results. You have to remember that. And also, if it is in the 9th house, what else we can say? We can say that you have some karma attached to your father in this life. So you should be dutiful towards your father. You should be accountable to your father. You should take care of your father. That's very important. Now, if malefics are there, or if the planet in the 9th house is not well placed, then there could be conflicts with the father. But you really need to sort them out. You need to sort them out, and you need to look after your father no matter what, without questioning. Because we should not judge our parents. We may judge anyone else, though we shouldn't judge anyone for that matter, because we don't know what they are going through, what circumstances they are in. So we actually should never sit and judge others. That is not a good tendency or a healthy tendency in the very first place. It is not commendable at all. You shouldn't judge others because you don't know everything about them. You know maybe something about them. So that could be just the tip of the iceberg. Their real circumstances, only they know. So you have no right to pass any judgment on anyone, and let alone parents. We can't do it to anyone, even outsiders or strangers. Then forget about doing that to your own parents who gave birth to you, who brought you up. You cannot do that to them. No matter how much you disagree with them, no matter how much you disagree with your father, you cannot get away from your responsibility of looking after your father. So always remember that you have to be dutiful towards your father if you want to prosper in life, especially because the Lord of the first house in the chart of your fortune or its dispositor is in the 9th house of the D9 or chart of your fortune. Alright? Respect your father, respect your elders, teachers. That's very important. Be accountable to them, be dutiful to them, be respectful towards them. Very important. You can benefit from foreign travel. Consider traveling to a foreign land. So maybe if you go there, your life can change for the better and fortune can smile upon you. The wheel of fortune can turn in your favor if you move to a foreign land. That can happen. So if you get the opportunity, you should grab that opportunity of settling down or moving to a foreign land, or undertaking foreign travels for work. That can also transform your life for the better. So that can make you more successful in your profession. So as a result of that, you can see growth and expansion in your life. That's also possible. Alright. So yeah, all these things you have to remember when you look at the Lord of the first house of your D9 or its dispositor in the 9th house of the Navamsha. Yeah. So you can be very optimistic also. You can be very optimistic, you will be exploratory, optimistic. You want to explore things. You can be an adventurer, explorer, adventurer. You may be a risk taker because you're very optimistic. You know that little bit of risk I have to take and I have to make that leap. It's very important for me to take that step ahead. So it is your optimism, it is your goal-orientedness. So you'll be goal-oriented also. You should be goal-oriented. You should be optimistic. You should believe in gaining knowledge. You should believe in your skills also. You should undertake travels when required, and then you will see that it is that optimistic bent of mind, that positive outlook on life, which will enable you to achieve your goals finally, and which will finally lead to growth and expansion in your life. Alright? Okay. Now, let's move on to the next house. If the Lord of the first house in your D9 or Navamsha or its dispositor, if it is placed in the 10th house, what will happen? The 10th house of profession, career. Alright. So maybe it's possible that your partner may somehow be connected to your work or to your workplace, or maybe the kind of work that they are doing is similar to your work, or maybe through your workplace somehow you could get in touch with your partner. That is also possible. It is also an indication that your partner can be you will be very hardworking, definitely, but the Lord of the first house of the D9, it is the health of your marriage, and that is now in the 10th house. 10th house is a very karmic house. So Lord of the first house of D9 or its dispositor in the 10th house. So it is a very karmic connection with your partner. So you should be very responsible towards your partner. Your relationship should be based on mutual responsibility. So you should be responsible towards them, and then they will also be responsible towards you. So that is important. So being responsible towards your partner is very important. When you have the Lord of the first house of D9 or its dispositor in the 10th house of the D9, you must have a very disciplined approach, not just to your own life but also to your relationship now. So you have to be there for your partner no matter what. You have to be responsible towards them. That sense of responsibility is very important. Okay? So also, what else we can say? That you have to, because here you will be, because it's in the 10th house. The Lord of the first house of D9 is in the 10th house, or its dispositor is in the 10th house. That means you will be somebody who will give a lot of importance to profession. But you have to strike a balance between your professional life and personal life. Just as you are accountable to your seniors and superiors or your boss at your workplace, you should also be accountable and responsible towards your spouse. So it is very important to strike that balance between work life and personal life. Just as you are accountable towards them, just as you are answerable to them, similarly you should remember that you are accountable to your spouse, and you also have to find time for them. You also have to listen to them, take care of them, and take their responsibility. So that is very important. Then you have definitely in this life you have definitely karma attached to the house of karma. So you are born to work hard. You are born to focus on your career goals. You are born to be actually methodical and structured and disciplined in your approach to work. You have to be goal oriented. You have to set targets and you have to fulfill your targets. You have to give a lot of importance to your career goals, now even your relationship goals. So you will be somebody who can be also very materialistic. You will believe in focusing on your professional goals, working hard, so that finally you can accumulate wealth and resources. So even after your marriage, if you are focusing on your work a lot more, then it's a good sign, because now you know that you are married, you have responsibility towards your spouse. Tomorrow you're going to have children. or a child, so responsibilities are going to increase. So you are maintaining, or you have adopted a very methodical, structured, systematic, goal-oriented, meticulous, detail-oriented approach to work. You want to work in such a structured way. Why? Because you want results. You want prosperity, you want wealth. It's very clear. You are very practical also. When you have the first lord of the D9 or its dispositor in the 10th house, you'll have a practical bent of mind. You'll look at things practically. Okay, so that is why you may also have a tendency to look upon your relationship practically. That may happen, or the relationship with your partner will be based on practicality, not so much on emotions, but based on common sense and practicality. That can happen. Okay, so you have to give a lot of importance to your profession, but you also have to remember that I have to give time to my spouse as well. So you have to strike that balance actually. Only then your marriage will be successful. As far as your identity or as far as your fortune is concerned, then the key to the lock of your fortune is in the 10th house. So you have to work hard. You really have to work hard in order to rise in life. There is no other way out. You have to be hard working. Alright? So that also. And 10th lord is 10th house is basically the house of Saturn in the natural zodiac. So you have to be very disciplined, you must have a disciplined approach towards your work. Very important. Then you will definitely prosper a lot in life, and you will definitely see, you will definitely be able to establish your identity in this world through your profession. You will be able to do that. You will be able to establish yourself or your identity, remember, only through your profession, through your work, through your karma. Okay? Alright. Now let's move on to what will happen when the Lord of the first house of the D9 or its dispositor is in the 11th house. So this is 11th house is the house of gains. So it can show that you can gain from your marriage. After your marriage, you can become more prosperous in life. It can improve your financial prosperity also, and overall prosperity in life. It can definitely make you more prosperous. Okay? Yeah. Now, how that planet is placed in the 11th house. So Lord of the first house of the D9 or its dispositor, how it is placed. If it is well placed, then you will get wonderful results. You will get wonderful results. You will gain from your association with your partner. You'll gain a lot after marriage. Alright? And you will definitely be a gainer. Alright? And that marriage, you will see that after your marriage, your wishes are being granted and fulfilled. So your wishes will be fulfilled, your wishes will be granted and they will come true. So it will be a very blissful relationship with partner if the first lord of the D9 or its dispositor is well placed in the 11th house. Only then. Alright? So the health of the marriage is in the 11th house. So 11th house is the house of actually Aquarius in the natural zodiac. So your relationship, your entire opinion about marriage, conjugal life, relationship also can be very unique, can be even something which is unorthodox. Your entire concept of marriage, it may totally be very unorthodox, very unconventional. That is possible. Okay, so the Lord of the first house is in the of the D9 is in the 11th house of the D9. So for you, even if you're in a marital relationship, for you, your individual freedom will be important. You will want your space, and you'll be very clear about that from the very start, that you want your space, you want your independence and freedom in the relationship. That can happen. All right? So your person or spouse may be connected to your social circle. It's possible. So now, what else we can say about your destiny, your fortune? So your destiny and your fortune is somehow now connected to the 11th house of the D9 or Navamsha. That means you could be engaged in social causes, humanitarian causes. It's possible. You could be a social activist. You could fight against animal cruelty. You could fight against social injustice. Okay, you could be connected to social welfare organizations, and you could definitely you could be connected to social welfare organizations. You can be into social service. You can also get into healing, occult also, because 8th house is originally connected to Aquarius. So you can do very well in the field of occult science. You can be a very good healer. You can be a very good lawyer also, psychologist also. You can be in the field of technology and research and investigation. Okay, so all good things if you're moving towards knowledge, because 11th house is also connected to knowledge and analysis. I mean, it's connected to 11th house, because it is definitely connected to knowledge. It is connected to analytical power. That is why it is the house of research, occult, healing, technology. All these things are also connected to the 11th house. Okay, so if you could also be into some independent venture, you could have your own independent business. That is also possible. Yeah, now your elder siblings, people in your social circle, they may play a very important role in your life or even in your marriage. That's also possible. Now, you should develop good network with people. You should have a healthy, a meaningful social network, so you can really benefit from your social network. People in your social network or social circle, and today it is the age of social media, networking. So people in your social media, so those people who follow you on social media, they can go a long way in shaping your fortune or destiny in this life. So they will, so that is why you should maintain good relationship with people in your social network. Okay, when you maintain good relationship with people in society, then what will happen in the long run, you will benefit from such associations. So you will benefit from interpersonal relationships, you will benefit from relationship with your person, you will benefit from your social network, you will benefit in every way. Actually, your ambition, your desires will get fulfilled. If the Lord of the first house of the D9 is well placed in the 11th house, if the Lord of the first house of D9 or its dispositor, if they are well placed in the 11th house, you will gain eventually in due course of time. You just have to go on working hard and making efforts. In due course of time, you will get wonderful results. You will be very successful. Sky is the limit, unimaginably successful. Also, it can happen so. So, yeah, all these things we can say if the Lord of the first house is in the 11th house of the D9. Overall, that means you're going to gain from your marriage if the planet in the 11th house is well placed. So finally, let's move on to what will happen when the Lord of the first house of D9 or its dispositor, when it is in the 12th house. What will happen? When it is in the 12th house, then definitely you may meet the marriage. The health of the marriage has gone now to the 12th house. So your marriage may happen in a foreign land, or you may get married to somebody who belongs to a foreign culture. If that happens, it will be very good for the marriage. Otherwise, it can also show long distance relationship. And if that planet which is in the 12th house, if it is connected with malefics or if it is getting afflicted, then it can also show separation after marriage, especially during the dasha or antardasha of that planet. So that can happen because 12th house is also the house of loss. So whether it is in D1, in D9 also, it is definitely the house of loss. So the Lord of the first house or its dispositor in the 12th house is generally not a very good placement unless you have a very spiritual bond with your partner. Now if that planet is well placed in the 12th house, then definitely there will be a sort of spiritual connection with your partner. And if that spiritual connection is there, then definitely your marriage can be successful and it can survive. Okay. So first lord of D9, first lord of the first house of your D9 or its dispositor if it is in the 12th house. So what else? Either it will show a spiritual connection with your spouse or partner, or it can show separation from the spouse or partner, or one more possibility, both of you are staying together but somehow you are distanced, physically distanced from each other. That can also happen. Now what else we can say about your destiny or your fortune, how it will be connected to the 12th house now. So 12th house is the house of creativity, imagination, healing, occult, psychology. So if you move towards any of these fields, it is also connected to any sort of research, investigation, it can be connected to that also. So it can be connected also to the profession of law, medical science, engineering, and it can also definitely 12th house is also connected to the subconscious mind. It is also connected to various kinds of coding, not just technology, but coding, technology, coding, everything. And also language. Language is a powerful code. Language is nothing but a code. So it is also connected to language. Now, so any of these fields, you could be an editor. You can be an editor, you can be a language expert, a linguistics professor, anything. So language is also somehow connected not just to the 8th house but also to 12th house. Subconscious mind, psychology, healing, occult. So all these are connected to 12th house. So if your profession is connected to any of these things, you can prosper. Or some creative field, if your profession is connected to any creative skill that you have, then also you can be successful. You may become more fortunate in life after you move to a foreign land. So try to settle down in a foreign land during the dasha or antardasha of that planet, which is in so that planet which is in the 12th house. So that means you can be somebody who also can be, initially in life you may be somebody who is an escapist, or you may be confused, you may run after illusion, you may be very idealistic, but you may have such a tendency. So not just basically that will be your nature, and you will have such a tendency. You can have even after you attain a certain maturity, after the age of 30-35, because this is the first lord of the D9 in the 12th house. It is in the Navamsha itself such a placement. So even later on also you may want to escape at times from problems. You may go into the escapist mode. You may isolate yourself from others. That is possible. So these tendencies might be there in you even after you attain the age of 30-35 also, because the lord of the first house or its dispositor in D9 has gone to the 12th house. Now what you should do, instead of remaining in your world of illusion or idealism, you have to strike a balance between your idealism and reality. That's very important. And you should be engaged in some spiritual practices, some prayers, worship, meditation, yoga, or you should be focusing on doing either some spiritual practices or occult practices. So you can really benefit from such practices, either spiritual practices or occult practices. You can be a healer, astrologer, and psychologist also you can be, because 12th house is the subconscious mind as well. So yeah. So it could be a little challenging for you to make your marriage work when the lord of the first house in the D9 or its dispositor has gone to the 12th house. It could be a little challenging. Alright? You may at times feel lost. You may not know what to do to save my marriage. Okay? But you must it's very important for you to have patience. and instead of thinking that escaping from the situation is a solution, no, you have to actually strike a balance between your tendency to escape into idealism and your need to accept the reality. So strike a balance between the two, so that okay, you have your own ideals, that's okay, you may believe in certain principles, but at the same time you are also grounded and you know what the reality is. So if after your marriage you move to a foreign land with your partner, then it's going to be very good for the marital relationship, or even for the sake of the marriage also, if you move to a foreign land, it's going to be very good for the relationship. Okay, or if your partner moves to your land from a foreign land, then also this traveling or this, because they are coming from a faraway place or you are going to a different place, so maybe to settle down there, whatever, so that is definitely going to be positive for your conjugal life, for your marital relationship. Okay, so all these things we can say that you may have certain hidden fears, unknown fears regarding your relationship, that also can be there. So maybe you have imagined a lot of things and you are gripped by a sense of fear, wherein the reality is totally different. So that is why it is very important to strike a balance between idealism and reality. So yes friends, and profession I have told you, as far as your own fortune is concerned, 12th house will play a vital role, and 12th house is connected to various things I mentioned already: occult, research, investigation. So because it is in trine to the 8th house, so also things which are connected to the 8th house are also connected to the 12th house. So yeah, so you have to understand that maybe in order to get fortunate, you should settle down in a foreign land if you get the opportunity, or even if you're staying in your own land, then you should have certain foreign connections. Maybe you can work for a foreign based company, or you may work for foreign clients. You could be an astrologer, you could be a teacher, you deal with foreign students, or you deal with foreign clients. You're a psychologist and you deal with foreign clients. So that will definitely make you prosperous in life, and you will be able to see growth and expansion in life. Yes, so all these things we can say when the Lord of the first house in your D9 or its dispositor is in the 12th house. So all these professions which I mentioned, the profession of healing, any occult practices, spiritual practices, their yoga, meditation, so they are all going to be very good options for you, besides technology and chartered accountancy and the rest. So all these various options you have. So that's it. Now I hope now you have got an idea. When the Lord of the first house in your D9 chart is in a certain house of the chart, then what kind of results you can expect. okay, or the Lord of the first house in D9, how it is placed, or how its dispositor is placed, in which house it is placed. So that can say a lot about the health of your marriage. That can also say a lot about how you can unlock your own fortune, and you can see a growth. You can see growth and expansion, and you can definitely, witness. You can witness a rise in fortune in life. So yes, friends, that was my take on what will happen when the Lord of the first house in the D9 or Navamsha chart, or its dispositor, is placed in all the 12 houses of the Navamsha chart, right? So it's okay, friends. I hope you found this video interesting. Do like, share, subscribe, and if you want personal consultation, details are there in the video description. You can get in touch with me. And just a gentle reminder: be kind to all animals, birds and creatures. Be compassionate to the needy, to the downtrodden and the unprivileged. See you next time, friends. Take care.